Fiametta is hot, literally. She's just burning her life away. With the rerun of Guide Ahead, I head back into the land of angels and holy dubstep. I have been waiting for this event's rerun since it seems nearly impossible even way before the boss stage, due to me having only 4 units at my disposal, and one of them is so angry, she wants to constantly end it. So let's take a tour around the Vatican that is filled with both guns and sweeps, and give Fiametta a no-hit run of a lifetime so she can complete her revenge. GA1 is an easy enough stage, but it does show the immense weakness of my team. The fact that I only have one blocker. There's also the ammo mechanic, where for one attack, enemies do the funny red number, against a team that has no healer. Despite that, the first stage is cleared with minimal effort. GA2 has a seemingly easy stage setup with one lane. I set up Mustima and Enforcer to deal with the early rush. I mistakenly placed Executor instead of Fiametta due to my own inattention. This stage introduces the mages that deal big fire damage with their ammo. The mage shreds Enforcer, forcing me to activate the JoJo meme. Thanks to the pushback of the skill, Mustima is able to keep the mage out of attack range. This sniping from Mustima will become crucial in the upcoming stages. Mustima perishes from a mage, and for some godforsaken reason, I place Enforcer in a spot where he can do nothing but be hit by the mage. In the last rush of enemies, Enforcer unsurprisingly perishes due to my lackluster placement, but in a stroke of luck, my misplacement of Executor allows him to sweep the map and bring it home. GA3 is the first big roadblock. This stage introduces the big chunguses that do 2 massive AoE attacks. To add insult to injury, there are also 2 blue boxes on this map. My first attempt ends in failure, with the positive being I gained the knowledge that Mustima was able to tank 2 of the cannonballs at least. I failed 2 more times due to the last enemy wave and the fact that I'm unable to deal with the right side. I switched my strategy to immediately using Mustima's skill to kill the upper left chungus and immediately retreat so she can be ready for the final wave. Executors put on the right side to deal damage to the chungus and take out a few of the snipers that spawn. Enforcers used to block for as long as you can, and Fia is used to take out any snipers that spawn on the right side. In the final rush, in a move I can only call genius, I placed Mustima facing down since I had no face she'd be able to take out the last 2 enemies before they got out of her range. This would be the downfall since now I had no way to deal with the right side and I lose an enemy with no HP. I proceed to make the same mistake again. On my winning clear, I retrieve Mustima earlier and the rest of the map goes as usual. Enforcer, the Giga Chad, tanks all the big AoE damage by himself, allowing me to place Mustima right next to Fia. One Mustima skill later, she sweeps the stage and brings home the victory. GA4 is another problem stage. This stage introduces the central gimmick of the event with the gelato towers that give SP. These pose a problem since enemies can now reload their skills and wipe my team. My first attempt ends due to bad placements and getting overrun. My second attempt goes much better, with Enforcer and Mustima dealing with the bulk of the enemies. Executor is sacrificed to keep Mustima alive long enough to use her skill. The blue woman sweeps, however, due to long downtime, the last big chunk is leaked since no one on my team can really take them down. I spend the next 20 minutes or so attempting to figure out the timings and placements that will lead my team to victory. Most attempts end with the last 2 big chungus alive. In my winning clear, I place Enforcer in the back, relying on his stun to mitigate damage as well as buy time for skill activations. Mustima goes right beside him and I use her skill early to recapture towers as well as start SP battering her to get ready for the final wave. Executor is used to clean up 2 big chunguses with the help of Mustima and Enforcer's stun. Fia is there for angry support. Enforcer is able to saw long enough that Mustima's skill is back in time to sweep the last 4 enemies. GA5 is both easy and a hard stage. Most of the enemies that come through the middle are squished and you can't attack ranged units. However, the right side is dangerous with all the big chungus that spawn. This stage also introduces the ODST enemies that deal extra damage against towers, making them very dangerous. My first attempts all end due to towers being taken over and the big chungus is mowing down my team. I start with another early Mustima skill that takes down the first big chungus. This works well, but it's very tight on the timing. Mustima comes back and is barely able to get her skill off in time to take down the big chungus that's going to leak. However, this means that the skill doesn't last long enough to take down the last enemy and my team is wiped. Since I was so close, I'll only make a minor change to my strategy. Once Fia's skill is up and going, I retreat Enforcer early so I can have him sacrifice himself for the victory of the team. I place the sacrifice in front of the big chungus, and this buys enough time that both Executor and Mustima are able to take him down in time before he gets past her range. Mustima brings it home with her skill once again. GA6 is terrible. This stage introduces the ice cream cars that spit out exploding RC drones. Some sick fuck degenerate decided that not only do the RC cars do big damage, they also count as leaks, so that's awesome. This stage also makes another big weakness of my team obvious, the fact that my lowest cost unit is 20 DP with no vanguards. My first attempt goes terribly. Mustima is unable to take down the first rated enemy without her skill, so needless to say the opening of this map is brutal. Getting past the opening isn't any easier due to the mages that spawn on the left side that shred my team. I again fumble around for 20 minutes figuring out the best timings and placements for my team, but they always perish in the final ends of the stage, with the 2 mages on the left side wiping both Fia and Executor, but I saw that victory was within reach. Enforcer is placed to again be sacrificed. His only job is to push and stun the one regular enemy. This gives enough time for Mustima to take take him down. I used the JoJo's skill to sweep the first wave of enemies. He is placed to deal damage to the right side and Executor on the left. Enforcers again is used to stall out the last wave, buying time for Mistima's skill. With another skill activation, the funny blue woman sweeps the last 6 enemies, killing the last mage with the final tick of her skill. GA7, as is tradition, joins the list of stages where the answer is simple and it's really just a matter of figuring out the timings. Finally, in her own event, Fiametta is able to sweep the map with a fantastic Fia tile. This stage introduces an axe murderer who, when he hits your units, prevents them from attacking. I spent around 10 minutes figuring out the best timings for my units, mainly Mistima, with most of my failures coming right at the end with the axe murderer being the only enemy left. That leaked since I was not retreating Mistima on time. On the winning run, I placed Fia early so she can get her skill as quick as she can, and Enforcer is used to block. Fia sweeps the rest of the mobs. Mistima is used to clear the right side of all the ODST troopers, and Executor is used to bait the binding shot. After, it's all just about waiting for the respawn timer of Mistima, and watch as she activates Moinar's skill to take down the axe murderer. GA8, the big boy boss stage with Resident Hot Angel Man himself, Anduin. This stage exploits all of my team weaknesses. Early rush with high cost DP units, and lots of heavy damaging units with no sustain on my side. My first attempt ends even before I even have a chance to damage the boss himself. Being the first wave of enemies becomes the first obstacle my team must overcome, since most runs end with Enforcer perishing to the big chungus that comes through the middle. With most attempts being blown away by some thick angels, I shift away from thinking about even beating the stage to just phasing Anduin and worrying about what comes after later. After about 30 minutes, I switch the timings of my placements till after all big chunguses shoot their mortars and place Mistima at the bottom in preparation for all the chunguses. And it works! Mistima clears out the enemies with assistance from Executor. Now all was left was to phase him. With the power of Angry Burb and Executor, I'm actually able to phase Anduin and probably watch as he nukes my entire team out of existence. I'm actually able to consistently phase him, but then comes the real problem. The fast rush of enemies that come after his orbital strike with only Juniors being ready to handle it. Mistima is able to keep them at bay, with Enforcer staying alive long enough until Anduin takes them both out. Fiametta is back in time, but her ASPD is too slow to take down the enemies. With Executor being a nice 60 DP, I can't deploy him to help. The next 20 minutes of attempts all end in some variation of this manner, always perishing to the fast wave or Anduin blasting them out of existence. With all the hard times, I hit the board to find an answer, and it presents to me only one solution. Read the story. My takeaway from actually reading is Anduin kinda has a point, even if it's idealistic and unrealistic. Despite getting silly that one time, Fiametta is kinda the one that can be seen as an antagonist. She's so angry and unable to let go, and bent on revenge, that she won't stop till she commits police brutality on Anduin, despite everyone having moved on from the incident. So that means Anduin sits on a moral high ground, and if the internet has taught me anything, is that I must be the one with moral superiority. Fiametta does not grant me that, so I return to build the most morally correct and virtuous team I can think of. Let me introduce you to them.
The moral superiority and virtuous god is the hottest new niche in the Arknights community. It hosts some of the most virtuous operators in the game, like loyalty, alternative medicine, ethical experimentation, inclusivity, transparency, Durban protector, not terrorists, and finally, healers. Join now in the hot new trend so you don't get left behind.
I entered the stage full of confidence, knowing that I now have the moral high ground. I set up early on the right side to hold the early wave of enemies with Puzzle, and my healer healing the enemies to death. The not terrorist duo is set up on the left side to bait the bullets of Anduin, and the big chungus that spawns. Once all the bullets have been used, I deploy Calcid to ready her healing skill for Anduin. Monster and Tequila take down this first phase quite neatly. For phase 2, I use both Posey and Scotty SD to burst down the boss. Since Toddy Fawns is the paragon of inclusivity and diversity, that means she also includes bullets, and therefore she is sacrificed to bait a shot from Anduin to keep Posey safe. Posey takes down Anduin. All that is left is to reshape the lands with sand and clean up the rest of the stage. With an S3 boosted alternative medicine from Podenko and some help from the typewriter, we take down the last enemy, finishing the stage. While I was not able to fully complete the challenge, I have scored a big win by being morally superior to Anduin, and that is the most important thing to me. This event was quite difficult, and I am honestly very surprised that I was able to reach as far as I did with the available units. Many of the stages felt very much like a puzzle due to the super strict restrictions of my team. The boss stage felt barely doable if I had a maxed out squad, but I'll let someone who does figure it out. If you made it this far, consider liking and subscribing, and let me know what you thought of the event. Until next time.